This is the first episode of Unexpected Connections. How did Henry Ford help McDonald's take over the world?
Happy Meal. We'll get one of those Happy Meals. You got a Happy Meal? Can we get a Happy Meal? Will somebody get the kid a Happy Meal?
In this series, we'll be looking at unexpected connections between seemingly unrelated people and events. This episode, we'll be looking at Ford and McDonald's and the strange cycle of inspiration and innovation that connects them across different industries. Seeing as how Ford is one of the most recognizable brands in the world, their advancement of the automobile industry, as well as the evolution of their vehicles, has been well documented.
This is a 1971 Ford pickup, the rugged hauler, the one that works like a truck but rides like a car. Go, baby, go.
The all-new Ford Maverick, built to defy expectations.
And with his many experiments and innovations, Henry Ford is already well recognized for his domination of the automobile industry. But did he also unintentionally plant the seeds that would go on to create the largest fast food empire the world would ever see? Most of us know McDonald's as a multi-billion-dollar international cultural phenomenon, but does it owe some of its success to another pioneer that dominated a completely different industry? Now, McDonald's is obviously massively successful. They earn an average $2.7 million annually from just one of their franchise restaurants. Now, when you multiply this with their 13,000 locations in the US alone, you realize they're making mucho dinero, and their total revenue is around $19 billion a year. I doubt any of this comes as a surprise to any of us avid McDonald's fans out there, and as a fellow member of the McDonald's fan club who enjoys munching on their crispy fries and taking a bite of a warm McDouble and taking a sip of a cold Dr. Pepper on an August afternoon. What was I talking about again? Oh yeah, what does any of this have to do with Ford? That's a very good question, Mike. And by the way, you're looking very handsome today. Well, thank you.
Hey guys, look, that doofus is talking to himself.
Who said that? Who said that? Alright, well, let's get back on topic. Ford comes into the picture when you consider McDonald's success and how it was due in a large part to its use of the revolutionary Speedy system early on. The system was inspired by the manufacturing assembly line system that was popularized by Henry Ford. Henry Ford often contemplated how he could speed up the manufacturing process for a Ford automobile. Then one day, he witnessed the swift meatpacking industry and how they had an animal disassembly line in which the meat would go from one station to another, simplifying the process by giving each worker a small job to do, which by the end of the line resulted in the entire task being completed much faster.
By maintaining quality and creating public acceptance, the meat packer performs a real service to producers of America's livestock.
After a lot of experimentation, Henry Ford used the Swift packing plant as inspiration for creating the assembly line for manufacturing in 1913. Not only did this innovation launch Ford into the future, but it changed the way labor worked and accelerated the transition from rural communities to urban cities. But that's a whole other topic of discussion regarding the Industrial Revolution, which we won't get into in this video. This system allowed Ford manufacturing plants to produce an entire Ford automobile in just 93 minutes, a process which previously took 12.5 hours to complete. This saved time and cut costs, which in turn increased profit margins.
That's money, dog. Let's talk money.
45 years later, in 1948, Richard and Maurice McDonald took inspiration from the assembly lines used in manufacturing and used it to become the first actual fast food restaurant, by limiting their menu items to just 9 of their best-selling products, which consisted of hamburgers, cheeseburgers, only 3 drink flavors, milk, coffee, potato chips, and good old American pie. And using the assembly line-inspired Speedy system, McDonald's was able to serve food faster than any competitor.
Here you are. What's that? Your food. No. I just ordered. And now it's here.
So how does all of this connect? Well, Henry Ford saw the Swift meatpacking plant and their animal disassembly lines and used that to inspire his manufacturing assembly lines. Then McDonald's was inspired by those manufacturing assembly lines and created their Speedy system, which allowed them to beat all their competition early on and become a global cultural phenomenon. Ironically, McDonald's is now the single largest beef purchaser in the United States, as they use over 1 billion pounds of beef every year. Now that's a lot of Big Macs. So the cycle went from meat to car manufacturing, then back to meat. And now in drive-thrus, we use our cars to get meat. Coincidence? I think not. This has been the first episode of Unexpected Connections. On the next episode, we'll talk about how the Great Depression and a truck driver helped companies like Amazon deliver to over 100 countries with ease.
Hey guys, look, that doofus is talking to himself.